Hello and welcome to Mags and Tillison, and welcome to part 7 of my 1971 Sportster XLCH Sparkling America paint scheme. Now I want you to take note that all the techniques that I used in this paint job, I am using all high-grade paints. So I want you to take note of that. So everything that I do, everything I spray, and all my techniques, again, I am using all high-grade paints. Hello and welcome to Mags and Tillison. Today we're going to talk about paint application and about clear coat application. Now this is my 1968 Sportster XLCH. I did a 1968 Harley Davidson paint scheme on this motorcycle quite a long time ago. I believe this paint job is roughly, about 5 years old now. And I did this thing a while ago. It still looks like it's brand new, like I just did it the other day. It's a gorgeous paint job. And I'm going to talk about how to apply your base coats and your clear coats, and how to apply them out of your spray gun so they lay beautifully flat with no orange peel whatsoever. They are as smooth as they can possibly be, and smooth as glass right out of your spray gun. So let's talk about how I apply my base coat colors and my clear coats to where they come out of my spray gun like a piece of glass, and there's no wet sanding involved or no buffing involved. It just sits so flat and shiny and deep without a scratch on it right out of my spray gun. So let's talk about how I do that and the techniques that I use to make my paint and my clear coat look so beautiful right out of the spray gun, which is also going to save you a ton of work. But let's go to my 1970 Sportster as well, because I want to use that as a perfect example of the technique that I use to spray and base in my clear coat. So let's go over to my 1970 Sportster XLCH and we'll look at that one as well. And this is a beautiful paint job that I use the same technique with to apply the gold base coat and the clear coat right out of my spray gun without any buffing, without any wet sanding, to make it look like this. It's a perfect paint job. There are no scratches, there's no buff marks in it, there's no swirl marks in it. This came out of my paint gun looking just like this. No matter what angle you look at this paint job in the sunlight, it looks the same. It's perfectly flat, without no orange peel, without any scratch marks or any buffing marks or anything like that. This paint job looks absolutely glass smooth, perfect. We're going to talk about applying our color base coats and about how to apply our clear coats over the base paint. So let's talk about that and the techniques that I use to put on your base colors and your clear coats without having any runs in your paint. Okay, it's very, very important. So one thing that you have to know, very important, is that you have to allow enough time between each coat. It's super important. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay, now look at this gas tank right here. So let's say I have a piece of clay in my hands, and I'm going to stand back and take that piece of clay, and I'm going to throw it up against my paint job. And it's going to stick, right? That piece of clay is going to just, boom, it's going to stick to this gas tank. It's not going to fall down and hit the floor. It's going to stay put right on the gas tank and stay stuck there. Okay? So that's the reason why you leave about 15 to 20 minutes between each coat of paint or each coat of clear that you put on your paint job. Just like a piece of clay, you've got to give that coat enough time to cure and set up. So your following coat is going to stick to the last coat you just sprayed on. It's not going to run off and have runs throughout your paint job. And that applies to your base coat and your clear coat, right? Now, say you don't wait and you're in a big rush and you put one coat of your base coat on, whether it be red, black, clear, or you put your clear coats on, and you don't wait and you're in a big rush. What's going to happen is that when you start laying down your next coat of paint or your next coat of clear, this is going to happen. It's going to run just like that. Your clear coat's going to run off and your paint's going to run off just like this. That's why it's so important that you wait between coats, about 15 to 20 minutes between coats. So your following coat is going to stick like a piece of clay right on to the previous coat. And that's key to having no runs in your beautiful new paint job. Now let's talk about our clear coat. Say you go ahead and you have that technique and you're going to put on maybe 3 to 4 coats of your base coat, whether it be black, red, white, green, or something like that. What I usually do, I'm doing 60% overcoats. And the technique you want to use with your spray gun is always keep your wrist stiff and your arm stiff. Don't use your wrist as you're spraying across like this. Keep your wrist extremely rigid and stiff, and keep your arms stiff too, okay? And just move in a even motion with about 60% overcoats. Now I usually do the outline of my fuel tank first, and I'll flip the tank over. I'll spray under the tank first, and I'll give it a coat, just a very light coat. And then once I flip my tank over again, I start doing the outer edges, all the hard to reach spots first. And then when I start to lay down my paint, I'll start at the bottom and pull in the trigger of my spray gun before it reaches the gas tank. And this way, paint or the clear coat's already spraying before I even reach my tank. I'll go across in a nice even pass, and I'll go past the workpiece, and then I'll let my finger off. Then once I start to go on my backstroke of my paint coat, I'll pull the trigger in before I reach my workpiece and keep my wrist and arm stiff and go right back again, just like that. And all the while, I'm doing 60% overcoats on each one. So I'm gonna go like this. I'll start from the bottom, come this way, 60% overcoat coming back this way, and 60% coming this way. So I'll start on the bottom, a nice even coat of paint right there. Take my finger off the trigger of the spray gun. Before I make the back pass, I'll pull the trigger all the way in before I touch the workpiece and give it a nice 60% overcoat until I reach the end. I'll let my finger off the trigger, and when I go on the backstroke of my paint coat, I press the trigger in before I reach my workpiece and do another even coat. So I'm going like this with my hand, keeping my wrist stiff, my arm stiff, and going about like this. About the motion and the speed that I use. Doing 60% overcoats, like this, and like this, like this, and then when I reach the top, then I'll do that. I'll go over on the other side and do the exact same thing. Again, I'll start at the bottom, like this, let go of the trigger, pull the trigger in when I'm on my backstroke of the paint, come this way, 60% overcoat, 60% overcoat, 60% overcoat, 60% overcoat, until I reach the top of the gas tank, okay? Now, I'll tell you something. I'm doing a medium coat on my second or third coat. Now, the first coat of, say, my base coat, I'm gonna do a dusting coat. I'm not gonna get in close, and I'm not going to put on a lot of material on my first or second coat. I'm gonna put a dusting coat on. So I'm gonna hold my gun a little bit further back, say probably 5 inches away, or maybe 6 inches away, and I'm gonna dust it in like this, okay? But I'll use the same technique, keep my wrist stiff, my arm stiff, and I'm gonna pull the trigger in before I get to the workpiece, just like this motion, and about this speed, just like this, and put a dusting coat on the whole gas tank until I reach the top. I'll go to the other side and do the exact same thing. Start down at the bottom, work my way up, 60% overcoat of that dusting coat, like this, all the way. I'm gonna dust the first 1 or 2 coats in until I reach the top. Now on my third coat, I'm gonna wait again, like I said, between coats about 15 to 20 minutes. Super important, like I showed you before, so you don't get any runs. You want that next coat to stick to the previous coat, just like a piece of clay would stick if you threw it onto it, it wouldn't drip off, okay? So you gotta wait between coats. You just be patient. Just go outside and get some fresh air, look at your watch, and you're gonna time it So about 15, maybe even more than that before you come in for your next coat. Okay, so we're going to go to our third coat now. Now I'm not going to dust it anymore. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to slow down my arm a little bit. Again, we're going to keep the same technique. Keep your wrist stiff, your arm stiff, and we're going to go in an even motion. This time we're going to bring our gun in a little bit closer to the paint surface, say about 4 inches away, or like maybe 5 inches away, and we're going to slow down our pass a little bit and put a medium coat of paint on. So I'll start like this. I'll come back here again, the same technique. Start from the bottom of the tank. I'll pull the trigger in. I'm coming in about 4 to 5 inches away from my paint surface, and I'm giving it even medium coats, slowing down each pass with my hand to put a medium coat of material over the fuel tank at 60% overcoats and oversprays right onto the middle of the gas tank. And then I'll do the same to that side. I'll go back outside, get some fresh air, and I'll look at my watch, and at least 15 minutes or more between each coat to let the previous coat set up so that the next coat is going to have something to stick to. Okay, so you won't get any runs in your paint job. Now we're going to do a medium coat. I'll probably do about 3 medium coats. Okay, I'll come back again and do a medium coat, slow down my motion, do a medium coat, keep my arms stiff, keep my wrist stiff, and keep doing 60% overcoats, just like this, until you reach the top of your fuel tank. Go on the other side and do the same thing. Now, at this juncture, we have 2 light coats that we put on, our first 2 coats. So I just put very light coats on. And my third and my fourth coat are nice medium coat. Now, we're going to do our last coat. Now, how do you apply your last coat? What's so key and important here to applying your last coat, and we're going to achieve an orange peel free right out of your spray gun over here, okay? We're not going to have any orange peel in our paint or in our clear coats. And there's a little trick that I use to do this, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Okay, number 1, let that last coat of paint or clear coat you put on set up really well, at least about like 18 minutes, okay? Now you got to get brave. If you're going to get an orange peel free coat on your last coat of, say, your clear coat or your base paint, you have to start getting brave, okay? The key was to getting brave is that we let the previous coat dry up really well, about 18 minutes or a little bit more than that. Now our heavy coat is going to have something to stick to, because the key was to let it set up for about 18 minutes or so, or a little bit more. Now we're going to come in there with our gun, and to achieve an orange peel free coat on our last coat of, say, our paint coat, our base coat here, and our clear coat, the technique that I'm going to use, I'm going to come in with my gun. And this time, instead of holding my gun back about 5 inches away, I'm going to pull my gun in close, roughly about 4 inches away, or maybe even less than that. And I'm going to linger in a little bit slower with each coat. Okay? So I'm laying down heavy coats here on my last pass of my clear coat, and I'm getting kind of brave here. I'm coming in close to my workpiece, about 3 to 4 inches away, like this, at 60% overspray passes until I reach the top. Now, all the while, I have a little light in my hand, and I'm looking down the side of the gas tank for any orange peel, okay? And if I still see a little orange peel, well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to come back with the gun and come in even tighter to the workpiece, and I'm going to hit it again and go back and forth in a slower motion, nice even strokes, 60% overspray passes until I reach the top. And by then, I'm going to tell you guys, your clear coat is going to look like a piece of glass. You will not see any orange peel in it. I have a LED light in my hand, and I start looking at my last pass of my clear coat. I look right down the side of the tank, and at all different angles and all different lights, and you won't see any orange peel. It'll look absolutely perfect. It'll look like a piece of glass and as flat as can be. And at that point, you step away and go outside, get some fresh air, and let that last heavy pass set up and dry. When you come back in, you're going to look at it, and you're going to be amazed how beautiful that last clear coat pass was, or say your last base coat was on your paint. It will be absolutely gorgeous, and you will never have to wet sand down your clear coat and to buff it out. Those days are over. Once you learn these techniques on how to apply your clear coat and your base coat, and the technique that I just showed you here, and like I said, the keys are between each paint coat is to make each previous coat of clear or base paint dry up enough. Okay, go outside, get some fresh air, have something to drink, wait about 18 minutes or a little more between coats, and then come right back in again. And this way, your previous paint surface is dry enough to where your next coat is going to stick to it just like glue. And you're not going to get any runs in your paint, and you're able to become very brave with your spray gun to get in there, get close on your last pass, and get that gorgeous glass-like finish with no orange peel whatsoever. Okay? It's going to look gorgeous. And this technique that I use, I've been using a long time, and I don't ever buff out my paint jobs. You know, when I get done with them, they're done. They are finished, and I'm done. And they last a very, very long time. And I don't get cracks in my paint jobs or anything like that. Now, one more thing I'd like to talk about. We're going to go over to my XLCH, and we're going to talk about the paint job on that bike, or even the paint job on the Triumph or my 70 Sportster there. And we're going to talk about how long we have to wait for the paint job to cure. We'll talk about that too as well. So let's go over to my 1968 Sportster paint scheme, and we'll get in close to that, and we'll talk about that as well. We're going to talk about putting on our water slides and about our graphics, and about when I put these graphics on during the paint job. Well, in this particular case, what we're going to do here is, before we put our clear coats on, we're going to lay down our black base coat, and then I put the water slide decal on and get it into the right spot that I want it. And then the water slide decals, you got to let them sit for about 3 days until they're perfectly dry and then all the air pockets are out of them, and then let them sit for 3 days before you put on your clear coat. So once your decals are on, you can go ahead and start to shoot everything in and to encapsulate it with your clear coats all the way through. And you cover up your water slide decals, and you're all done, okay? On my 1970 Sportster, I have a vinyl graphic that I put on it that says Sportster on the side, right? And I didn't do it like that. I went ahead, I put my gold base coat on and put the clear coat right over the top of that right away. My paint job was done. And then I planned on putting my Sportster script on there, but I put that over the clear coat, and it's not protected by any clear coat at all. Now, it's been on there for about 3 years now. It looks like it's brand new without any clear coat on it at all. Now, at some point, I may put a clear coat over the whole thing, but in that particular case, I didn't do it because I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep that Sportster script on my 1970 Sportster. Let me kind of move it over here. You can see that Sportster script over there on the gas tank of my 1970 Sportster, okay? It's still on there after 3 years. It looks like it's brand new. It looks great, but like I said, at some point I may go ahead and put a clear coat on top of it. Also, let's talk about how long do we have to wait until this paint job actually cures up before we put on wax. Well, I gotta tell you guys, the last thing you want to do is put a wax job on a fresh paint job. What's going to happen, you're going to trap all the urethanes and all the chemicals into your paint job, and it's not going to gas off. It's not going to evacuate all those chemicals in your paint, in your clear coat, and they can't evacuate. And what's going to happen, the paint job is going to spider web, it's going to crack. And that's a very important thing to talk about here. So as you can see here, I have automotive grade 2K paint on my 68 Sportster. This paint job is about 5 years old now, and it looks like it's brand new. So how long did I wait before I put a coat of wax on this thing? Well, it's been 5 years now. I have never put a coat of wax on this paint job. It looks like it's brand new. Now, how long do you have to wait if you want to put a coat of wax on a brand new 2K paint job? Well, you have to wait quite a long time, and I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't put a coat of wax on a brand new paint job unless it was about 6 months old, because you want to wait long enough for all the chemical in your clear coats and your base colors to evacuate from your paint job, and that takes quite a while. And say you don't wait long enough and you put a heavy coat of wax on your brand new paint job, and you do not allow all those chemicals in your new paint job to evacuate. So what's going to happen, you're going to trap all those chemicals inside your brand new paint job, and you're going to crack your paint. It's going to spider web because all those chemicals are trapped in your brand new paint job. You did not give them a chance to evacuate from your paint job. There's no reason to put wax on a brand new paint job. After all, you just sprayed probably 4, 5, 6 coats of clear on there. I mean, what do you need wax for? Now, you may want to ask me, how long has it been since I put a coat of wax on this paint job? Well, this paint job is 5 years old. I never put a coat of wax on it. It looks like it's brand new. And I don't feel I need to put wax on it. It's got probably about 7 coats of clear on it, and it looks gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So don't put wax over a brand new paint job. Like I said, give it time for all those chemicals to evacuate and let it set up and cure really well and really hard. And then maybe 6 months later, go ahead and add a coat of wax if you desire to do that. But all my paint jobs here, I haven't put any wax on them in all these years. I just have not. I don't feel a need to. I mean, after all, it is 2K paint, and it's resistant to all the gases that you put in your gas tank if it spills off, and it's resistant to it anyway. And if I do have a spill, I'll just wipe it off right away. So you don't want gasoline just to sit on your brand new paint job. If I'm at a gas station and I'm filling up my gas tank, if I have an overspill of fuel on my 2K paint, well, I immediately wipe it off and get the gasoline off my paint job. You never want gasoline just to drip down your paint job and not pay any attention to it. You have to get it off right away. Even though it's 2K paint, you don't want any stains in your beautiful paint job, so make sure you don't spill any fuel down. And if you happen to do that, get it off right away, okay? Get that fuel off your gas tank immediately. And you're going to have a very long-lasting, beautiful paint job. As I said, this paint job is over 5 years old. And it looks like I just did this paint job, like it's brand new. Doesn't have any buffing marks in it or any swirl marks in it. It doesn't have nothing in it. It's like a piece of glass. It's gorgeous. So it's up to you if you want to put wax on your paint jobs. It's not going to hurt anything, but my goodness, let them cure and don't be in a rush. Give them about 6 months, and this way you know for sure that all those chemicals have evacuated, and let the paint job dry and cure just the way it's supposed to. And then you're free to go ahead and put on a coat of wax if that's what you want to do. On my 1970 Sportster 2K gold paint job, I literally used only a pint of paint, okay? And I cut it really close, really close, because I wanted to save a couple of bucks, and I didn't get a whole quart of this gold paint, but I got away with a pint, which is really cut it close. Now what I did, when I painted under the tank, I turned the tank over and both fenders over, and I just dusted them in with the gold tone of this paint, and I clear coated over that. But I reserved the bulk of my paint for the top of the gas tank and the fender in the rear and the fender in the front. And I had just enough paint just to put about 3 to 4 coats of gold on here and just have a little paint left over. So one thing I would like to add that's super important when you're doing these paint jobs is that make sure you have enough paint and clear coat inside your spray gun at all times. Because if you don't, what's going to happen, you're going to run low on paint and your spray gun will be sucking air and it will be throwing strings of paint and air and garbage and blotches right onto your gorgeous paint job, and it's going to absolutely destroy your paint job. So I'd like to add again, so when you're doing the paint job, make sure you check your gun all the time and look in that can to make sure that you have enough paint material in there so you can get in there and complete your paint job. Because if you don't, like I said, you're going to be sucking air through your paint gun, and then long strings are going to come out and blotches of paint, and you will absolutely destroy your paint job. I would rather throw away a little paint that's left in my spray gun and then to run short in the middle of a paint job, especially on my last coat. So just be mindful of that. Keep checking your paint gun as you're spraying paint just to make sure that you always have enough paint material to complete your paint job so you get these gorgeous, smooth, deep tones in your paint job, and you don't ruin them by spraying air out of your spray gun and long strings are coming out in blotches, and there goes your expensive paint job. It's gone. So put a little extra paint in your spray gun and stay on top of that, okay? Okay, there's one more thing I'd like to add, is that when you're cleaning out your spray guns, don't use your expensive urethane reducer. So just go to your big box store and buy some lacquer thinner, which is a lot cheaper. And use just your big box lacquer thinner to clean out your spray guns, okay? Use the cheap stuff. Whatever you do, don't go using your high-end lacquer thinners, okay? You know, such as this one right here. Okay, when you're going to clean out your spray guns, don't use your high-end reducers. Go ahead and go to your big box store and buy some lacquer thinner and use this to clean out your spray guns with, okay? That's one more thing I'd like to add to this paint series, okay? Now we're reaching the end of this long paint series here, and also I want you to know that it is late October and the weather has gotten pretty cold outside, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to go to part 10 and put the clear coat on. Now I have all the decals and they're all ready to put on my paint job, and it has been curing now for about 2.5 weeks, so I won't have any problem doing part 9, putting all the decals on the 1971 Sparkling America paint scheme, and that's going over the birch white paint job. But I'm not sure about part 10 because I cannot paint when it's cold outside, because the paint has got to be sprayed when it's about 68 and above, and I want my paint jobs to come out looking like glass and just beautifully smooth. So I cannot paint when it's cold outside. It's not going to happen. So I may have to go ahead and put on the Sparkling America, all the decals on the tank and front and back fender, and then just put this paint job aside until next spring. So I may have to pick up part 10 sometime in the springtime, you know, when it gets about 68 and above, and then I'll show you how I spray on the clear coat and how I get a very glass looking type of deep finish right out of my spray gun, and it's going to turn out gorgeous. So we'll have to wait probably until next spring because I don't foresee any warmer days in the next week or two over here. But in the meantime, I am outside. I'm tearing apart that old Sportster, and we'll be getting into that pretty soon too. I'm starting to film that, and there's a lot of work I have to do yet. So we'll be getting into that in the next coming weeks, and then I hope I get a warmer day. Maybe I could possibly spray the clear coat on if we got a nice warm day or two, and then I'll jump on that. But at least till then, you'll watch me put those 71 Sparkling America paint decals on my brand new birch white paint job, and at least I'll be able to get that in at least. And so that's going to come out pretty soon, probably in the next maybe 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not sure. But in the meantime, I am out there in the garage tearing that 71 XLCH apart, and I have a lot of work to do on that thing. So I'll be coming out with a lot of different content about that 1971 Sportster XLCH, and because I have a lot of work to do with that one, and also my 76 Triumph that I have out there that I have to do the top end. So I got my work kind of cut out for me out there with a few more other projects besides that as well. So until then, guys, you take good care of yourselves, and thank you for watching Max and Tillison. Ride safe out there, and I will see you guys on the next video.